The next phase of reassembly, we've already gone ahead and we've pressed this back together in the press. So I need to finish putting this back together and set the rolling torque on it. So the first thing that you want to do is don't forget about the seal. Follow the book, and the book is going to tell you to get this seal, and you need the special tool for that seal. The special tool fits inside the seal as such, and then what we're going to do is put a little bit of sealant on the outside of this, and then we're going to press that back into the housing. So I'm going to go and press that back in real quick, and just press it out till the tool bottoms. The tool will hit the housing and it will bottom out. So it's a quick, easy process. So I'm going to go press that back together real quick. I've now since used that special tool, okay, to press that back together. That's in the book. That's that 385-0607 tool. You use that same 263 tool a lot. We use that to press the bearing in, and we also use that to press the seal in the press. So now that that's back in, we need to put that snap ring back in. So again, this is a very beefy snap ring, so you need some big snap ring pliers. And again, what I always recommend, get it lined up, put your hand over it so it can't come up out of there. Okay, once it's in the groove, you should be able to rotate it with the tool. Release the snap ring pliers. Okay, and that should be in there just fine. So now that the seal is installed, your snap ring is installed, the next thing we want to do is we want to grease those seals. Take some grease and pack that groove with grease between the two seals. You want to pack it full of grease. Don't go overly crazy. If a little bit goes in the housing, you could pack the seal before you put it together. If you forget, you could, take it back apart, but a little bit of grease won't kill the drive. So that's done. Now it is important to make sure that you have grease in there, so when you put it back together and you start it up, that seal does not run hot right away. Gear oil will get in there and fill that groove later over time. So it's pretty much ready to go back together at this point. So what I'm going to do is I need to put this back on the drive shaft. Make sure that that yoke surface here, okay, is in good shape. You might want to change that yoke if it's got a groove in it, all right? And now I'm ready to put the bolt back in it. So I have that special taper washer. I have the old bolt and I have a new bolt. Old bolt, trash. Don't ever reuse it. The next thing you want to do is put a little Loctite on the threads of that bolt. I always recommend you use a little Loctite in anything that's inside a drive that's rotating, anything that's inside an engine that's rotating. Blue Loctite is your friend again. So I'll get that bolt started. Okay, and now I can put that in the fixture again. So now what I need to do is I need to rotate this gear, and I have to set the rolling torque or the bearing tension on it. So we're gonna tighten the gear and the shaft and pull the bearings back together further, seat them into the races, crush that pre-tension sleeve until I get the correct tension. I need a 1/4 inch or 3/8 drive torque wrench that's a dial style. So as you rotate it, the dial will read off. I need to go into the service manual and read and tell me what the exact value is, and it's actually 9 to 14 inch-pounds. And I have 6 to 11 in my brain from Alpha drives for their pre-tension. So even I, after 35 years of doing this, need to read the book because you won't remember everything. Numbers are tough. I like to have 2 of these T50s ready to go. One is to tighten this and the other is to read it. So let me demo that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that tension on here. So what I need to alternately tighten this and then check it with the inch-pound torque wrench. So I'm going to take my drive yoke, rotate it up against the vise. Take my torque wrench, my breaker bar, right? And what I want to do is just feel it so I have a little bit of tension on it. And once I feel it start to get tight, here's the secret. Remember, you got to crush that crush sleeve. So as soon as you start to feel tension on this, all right, you want to roll it with a rolling inch-pound torque wrench. I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit more because I can feel it still really doesn't have any tension on it. Some people use a long screwdriver through the vise. I just find that it's one extra step. If I can get this up on the vise the way I want it. Okay. 1/8 of a turn at a time is really what I just did, and that's really how much you want to tighten it at a time. Okay. And then, now that I feel I have just a little bit of tension on it, I'm going to put my inch-pound dial style torque wrench on here, and I'm going to rotate it and read it while I'm rotating it. You have to read it while you rotate it. About 1 rotation a second. So, 1001, something like that. And I've got about 6 inch-pounds. So I need to go just a little more, not much. And again, that 1/8 of the turn is critical at this point, because if you over tighten it, well, you got to take it all apart again. Okay. Didn't feel like it changed much, and the thing is you have to crush that crush sleeve. So this is where you don't want to rush. You want to take your time. This will take a few minutes to do, and even I take my time doing this. So I'm still probably 5 to 6. I still haven't changed much. Okay. So I need to tighten it up a little bit more. This is where you're going to, after 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to get a little antsy. Now, once you get to this point in it, you can feel that tension. You roll it, it stays at 6 inch-pounds. You'll get that feel for it. Now you can adjust yourself just a little bit more. Again, I'm into that crush sleeve now. I can really start to feel the tension on it. I got just a little bit more there, so I want to make sure that I don't go over. And I'm still at 6. No. I wanted to do this real time so you get a real feel for what this is like, because you will go over if you're overzealous. There. I can feel it getting harder to turn now. There we are. Now we're at maybe 7.5. And I got to read it as it goes by. Now, another little trick is you can take that, and as you rotate it, you can set this wrong way. Set it, let's say 9 to 14. So I want to go to 10, maybe 11. So when I come around and I'm rotating, when it hits 0, now I'm where I want it to be. So I've still got 4 inch-pounds left to go. So I'm going to tighten it up. I mean, just a touch more. We're going to go over if we're not careful. This is where you can really just overdo it. Get this magic point, take your time. Probably just a 16th. One more, but let's see where we're at. Still got 3 to go. 16th, and I mean, I'm almost bending this breaker bar It's bowing when I'm doing that. That's how tight it is, because you're crushing that crush sleeve in there. Not the easiest thing to do. Still gotta go. Not there yet. Boring to watch, I know, but. Close, 2 inches maybe. Remember, 9 to 14, I shoot for 11. So I know that I'm in that range. Okay, I'm about 1 inch-pound away from that, so I'm at 10. I could go a touch more, but I'm in scale, I'm good. So I've got that pre-tension. I've tensioned those bearings, I've crushed that crush sleeve or pre-tension sleeve, and now I have the right rolling torque on this. So this gear won't move, right? It's set in its position, but the bearings are at the right preload, so they'll last their longest. If you over tighten them, even if you go to 15, yeah, they might burn up. So the option is, if you over tighten, you go 15, 16, 17 inch-pounds, take it all apart, put a new crush sleeve in it. Don't do any more than that. So I have set that rolling torque on these, as I call it, or bearing pre-tension. We've crushed that crush sleeve using the breaker bar, all right, to set those bearings at the right tension. If you go over in your in tightening this, you're going to over tighten those bearings into the races. You're going to put too much load on them. They're going to burn up. So if you're at 16, 17 inch-pounds, you got to take it all apart, put a new crush sleeve in it. So as I showed you, take your time, take your measurement. Now the other thing is, if you put it back together and you roll it, the needle on your inch-pound torque wrench should not flicker. It should be nice and smooth. It might have a very tiny little variation. If it has a flicker to it, you hear the needle moving around, then that means probably one of these bearings, either the race is damaged or it's got dirt in it, or one of the cages damaged. If that's the case, take it all apart, put all brand new bearings in it. Don't try to use it if the needle is moving around, because those bearing races will, where the aluminum pieces may be distorted, and then that bearing comes apart, and that's not good while it's riding. So your dial style inch-pound torque wrench should be smooth. All right, so the next part, what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to measure all the gears in the gear case, and I'll talk about gear ratio.